Thanks for the support as a channel member, Dave LUFC. I assume it's LUFC. And if you're called Dave Lufka and you're really offended now, just let me know and I'll get it right for next month. Well, folks, there were very many times over the last week or so I didn't think I'd get to episode 7 of the Bristol Rovers Element and Non-League Legend, but here we are for a season review and transfer window. I don't know how much money I'm going to have to spend. I suspect it's not going to be a lot, and we've got to finish in the top half next year. Sacking is still very much on the card in this job, I think. Hello and welcome to Club 2, Part 7 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode, we have that review of our season with Bristol Rovers, plus all of the summer transfers, which we've got our budgets there, so we're about to find out what they are and get an idea of how exciting the transfers are likely to be. So, I mean, we got £1 million to spend in January, but actually, in reality, once we'd added the money to the wage budget we needed to bring players in, £1 million actually turned into, 400,000? So I'm not overexcited at the prospect of what they're going to do, but let's have a little look. Wow. A transfer budget of 0. I was hoping for a little more than that. They have given me a little bit more wage budget, so we could potentially tip some of it back the other way again. But in reality, we can't bring anyone in without having budget to spend anyway. It's only giving us £4,000 on top of what we've got at the moment, although there are quite a few players leaving. So we're going to be starting from 64,000. So that will give us, £18,000 a week to throw around. We're looking at maybe 3 or 4 signings, assuming we're not going to need to pay a fee. If we're going to need to pay a fee, it could probably end up just being 1 signing. But 3 or 4 free transfer signings, a couple of loans, and we need to make the team much better than they have been this year. Although, one thing I haven't checked, I'm talking about how unlikely it is that we're going to finish in the top half of the table. What I'm trying to get to is this, and if we have a look, second half of the season, so the bit pretty much since I took over, and we're up mid-table, and I imagine if there was a way to do it, I want to have a look at form over the last 15 games, because over the last 5 games we did pick up a few defeats, but I reckon over the last 15 games or so we'd be top 10 for form. So it's not completely impossible. It's far from ideal, though. One other thing I'm sure people were going to be asking me, let's just see how Kings Lynn have got on without me. It's learn how to spell the name of the club, Kev. Kings Lynn, did they get promoted? It looks like it's still all to play for. Oh, it's not. Oh, no, it might be. Right, so they finished 3rd, 10 points behind Bromley. Alfie Payne, 2nd for man of the match. Only 3rd for player of the season. His form nosedived in the second half of that season, presumably when he realised he wasn't going to be coming to join up with me. But I mean, that's not the Alfie Payne we all remember in the second half of that season. And to be fair, with a scout report like that, that's why I didn't bring him in, because I just don't think he'd get in my team. He's not as good as Upson, who barely featured. So I think the Alfie Payne segment of this story is probably over. But they are in the playoffs again with the bye through to the semi-final again. So fingers crossed, Kings Lynn do still make it through into the Football League with Jim Gannon in charge. And what we do need to do is be keeping an eye on Alex Mighton as a potential signing on loan for next season. It gives him the chance to jump up a couple of seasons from where he's been. He's up there, similar quality now to Chapman and Garcia, but with potential to be better than both of them. I think that's the kind of player, if we can get him in on loan, that's a fairly low-cost way to add a quality player to the squad. So that's definitely something we're going to be looking to do. But what we're going to do now is jump forward to the end of season awards, see how we get on with all of those, and then figure out what we're going to do for transfers. In fact, before we do that, because I'll forget if I leave it any later than this, we've got the 2 channel member players who are at Kings Lynn. So while we're looking at Kings Lynn, let's just check in with our 2 channel members. Nathan Curry is one of them, so he is still there at Kings Lynn on the loan list, 18 years old. He is out of contract this summer, so we probably need to keep an eye on him. In fact, we'll scout him. Does that get him onto our onto our shortlist? It does. So Nathan Curry still at Kings Lynn. Where is the other one? Where is he? There he is. Marius Hegley is injured at the moment. A double hernia, but also still at Kings Lynn, also out of contract this summer. So we will scout both of them and just keep an eye on them over the summer to see where they end up. And of course, if you want to get your own name in the game, the join button is next to the subscribe button down below. You can have a look in there about how you do it. So we've got the end of season awards in. Obviously, all-time best 11 is not really that relevant to us, other than the fact that it becomes apparent that there was a goal scorer here before I arrived. Johnson Clark-Harris I think he was one of the top scorers, if not the top scorer in League One this year, joint top scorer in League One. There's your real reason why this team fell apart. It lost its striker. That's what we need to go and replace. We need to go and find a League One top scorer. Does he want to come back? Let's just give him a little scout, see if he wants to come back. You never know. But the rest of the team all looks fairly familiar. End of season awards, though. Player of the season is Stephen Kingsley with 48% of the vote. That looks about right. He's been absolutely crucial. Scored a couple of important free kicks, taking the corners, crossing in from that left-hand side, and probably the only player in the squad to average over a 7. There you go. The only player in the squad with a rating in the green. So fully deserved. Joe Budd, runner-up. And this is certainly something to be encouraged. Still only 19 years old. Like I've mentioned earlier on in the series, potentially a player that we could sell on for a bit of money at some point in the future. Interesting to see as well that as one of the better players that we've got in the squad, he's currently operating at a League 2 level, might be a League 1 player in the future. So that gives you an idea of just the quality of our squad in general. And then Alfie Kilgore, third place, which, yeah, that again seems about right. Key player, one we definitely want to keep hold of. Abu Agogo got goal of the season. It was before I arrived. We don't need to see it. Blast, signing of the season for 23,500 from QPR. Can't argue with that at all. We've got 2 good fullbacks now. And bringing that one in was really rather cheap. And Joe Budd, young player of the year, still only 19. Awesome stuff. So team of the season, Townsend in goal, back four of Kingsley, Lennon, Kilgore and Blass, Clark, Savage and Bird in midfield, Chapman, Garcia and Riley as the striker up front. That would be the one part I'd probably disagree with. But then to be fair, who would you put there? We know that's the issue. We've got to find a striker this summer. And that's the perfect demonstration of why. Top goal scorer, 3-way tie between Riley, McDonald and Chapman on 5 goals each. I don't think I've ever had such a low top scorer. Kingsley with highest average rating, Garcia with 9 assists, Clark best pass completion, most man of the match awards for Budd, and then Clark and Savage are naughty rascals. I don't know what the pre-season expectation was because obviously we weren't here. We'd been expected to be relegation candidates. So, to be fair, we did all right. Club vision-wise, club culture is still signing players under the age of 23 for the first team. Still need to work within the wage budget and focus on younger players, sell players for a profit. In fact, they've lowered their expectations a little because that previously was work towards a top half finish, which I don't really know what work towards means because we've got top half finish and playoffs next year and the year after. But this coming season, mid-table finish. I think we can achieve a mid-table finish this upcoming season. I certainly think we have to. If we're going to be in a relegation battle again, there's really no point in me sticking around. So if I'm going to be here at the club next year, which I should be, I'm thinking it's got to be a mid-table finish, and we've got to find a striker. If we can do those 2 things, then that is progress. What a lovely headline to see. The big story. Kings Lynn promoted. Let's have a look to see how they did it. So, playoff final. Is it at Wembley? Yes, at Wembley. Took 11,500 fans. Beat Sutton on penalties. And this was the Kings Lynn team that played in the final. So, they're my boys. These are all my boys. Don't know who he is. Jean-Pierre Thierry on loan from Fulham. Other than him, they're all my boys. Very proud. And looking forward to them joining us in the Football League next season. Well, we've made it through to the 1st of July, and goodness me, have a lot of players left the club. Mark Little, Ed Upson, probably the two main ones from the first team squad last season. A couple of others who were in and around the first team squad, but I never really used, a bunch of youth players. But we've also had a couple of players leave on free transfers as well. Benyu has gone to Ross County. Our backup keeper, that was arranged ages ago, he's gone to play for Roda JC. And Savage, the midfielder we had on loan from Manchester United, we did try and get him in permanently, but he's signed for Wigan permanently. All of which means we're now down to £62,000 a week in wages, so £20,000 a week to play with. And this is what we've got left in the squad. So there's certainly a few areas we need to go away and strengthen. We're just accepting we've got no strikers. I'd happily let all three of them leave if anyone wanted them, and we'll go in and get some more. I think we're good in wide areas. Obviously, we've got Chapman, who is awesome, but mainly because of his name. We've got Garcia, and as a backup to both, we've got Zane Walker, the youngster who came through our youth system, did a bit of a Mick Powell, never really got an opportunity, but he's definitely going to be competing with Chapman and Garcia for those spots this season. I think Burke is probably someone who does need to move on. There's interest in him, and I'm happy to let him go because he doesn't really fit into our system. Central midfield, Clark, Bud, Agogo, that's it. And they're also covering the defensive midfield positions as well. So we probably need a couple of central midfielders. Alfie Payne, we can't get him. There'd have to be a fee, and we know he's not good enough anyway. But we do need a couple of central midfielders in addition to the striker. Centre back, we're good. Kilgore and Lennon, but there's not really any backup behind them. Kingsley, we know, is a top quality left back. We've got Jones as backup for him. Blass, we know, is a very good right back, but there's not really any backup for him. Luca Akalani is another one who could probably leave if anyone wants him. I don't know why he was signed. To be honest, it seems like a baffling signing. He's just never going to be good enough. And then in goal, we've got Townsend. We've got a youngster who's going to be good, Harry Thomas Barker, but he's going to be going out on loan for this season. So we probably need to bring in another goalkeeper, a couple of fringe player, youngster centre-backs. Maybe one of them can play right back too. That would be quite handy. A couple of good League One quality central midfielders, and at least one, ideally two, strikers that will work at this level. That's our priority. Now, because we've only got free transfers to play with, we're going to go out and bring in a load of Premier League trialists because it worked at Kings Lynn. Right, we have a big pile of trialists in, as you can see. If we could sign them all, we'd have a really, really good team. Obviously, we're not going to be able to sign them all, though. But initial thoughts, there's a striker. Has he scored goals in his career? My word, it's a striker who's scored goals in this league. He's my man straight away. Who else have we got? We've got another striker. Has he scored goals? It's another striker. I mean, the league below. In fact, no, goals in this league. This is what we need. Somebody who can score goals. A third striker who can score goals. All three of them can get to double figures for goals in this league. We just need to see if we can get any of them in. That aside, there's some decent midfielders who've appeared. A good young goalkeeper who immediately has been offered a contract by Southampton. So we're probably very unlikely to get him, but we can try and get him. But there's quite a few there, but only 20 grand to play with. And plus we've got no signing on fees. So I'm going to slowly but surely work through this list, have a look to see what we've got and try and work out which ones we want. Well, I want to bring in all of them. We're going to work out which ones we can afford to bring in. Right, first wave of transfers complete, both in and out. We'll start with the outs. Luca Ekalani is gone. £12,000 to pad over Jerome Sinclair. We got £275,000 for to sell him to Wimbledon. I don't think they were paying attention last season when he was injured for most of it, and the bits he was fit for, he was being useless. We actually sold him for more than we signed Keenan Davis for. I'm good at dealing with strikers. Graham Burke's gone to Doncaster for £68,000, so £350,000 has come in, plus some big money off the wage bill, and so far we have 4 signings. There will be more to come. Daniel Adshed is in on loan for the season. 20-year-old midfielder on loan from Norwich. 3-star current ability, 5-star potential ability. He's basically the replacement for Savage as our Premier League youngster in on loan. You saw there Reece Brown has joined him as a new signing in midfield. 26 years old, can play as a defensive midfielder or central midfielder. He's in to compete with the two guys who do that at the moment, Clark and Agogo. As you can see, he competes with them for both defensive midfielder but comes in as our best central midfielder at the club. He was at Huddersfield previously, not played for a few years, but obviously they're a championship club. We've got the first of our new strikers in, Stephen Humphries, gets the number 10 shirt, as you can see, 3.5-star current ability, 4-star potential ability, the best striker at the club by some distance. Got 14 goals last season down in League Two, but has been scoring goals relatively consistently for many years, including 10 goals at this level a few years ago. I know it's not anything spectacular, but it's a lot better than what we had before, and we still do plan to bring in more in the way of strikers. As you can see, we've got Humphries and Davis at the moment. I want one more striker. We probably need one more wide player who can maybe play on both wings, unless we go with young Lucas Tomlinson, who is someone who came through our youth team and was out on loan last year. Central midfield, defensive midfield. I think we're done for defensive midfielders. Central midfield, we could maybe do with one more. If we say we're going to consider both Clark and Agogo as our defensive midfield options, we've then only really got 3 central midfielders. It's a low priority though. I think with Kilgore, Lennon, and Osho, we're good for central defenders. Davis can be there as a bit of cover if any offers emerge from these clubs for him. We'll let him go and bring in another one. We do need a right back. We've only got Blass on that side, and we probably need a goalkeeper as well. So there's still plenty of business to do, and because we've managed to sell some players, there's a little bit of money in the transfer kitty, but more importantly, we've still got plenty of wage budget to spend even after doing those transfers. So we've kind of exchanged those players for these players, and we're a little bit better off financially than we were before, with a much stronger team already. Round 2 of transfers. Is this a new thing in FM20? I've never seen this before. A youngster who wasn't even showing in our youth team yet has been poached by Bournemouth, and we'll get loads of money if he ends up being any good. It looks like he won't, but that's interesting. This young lad doesn't even exist yet. I don't think I've ever seen that happen before. Next batch of transfers complete. Gavin Riley has now left the club on loan, with Blackpool paying his wages for the rest of the season. Gets him out the way and clears the decks a little bit for us to bring in some real quality. Paul Smith, a right winger who can also play up front. 13 caps already for Northern Ireland, age 24. 3 goals for them as well. 3.5-star current ability, 4-star potential ability. We now have 4 very good wide players. And this lad is going to go on and be a championship player in the future. He is top quality, been playing in the championship for the last couple of seasons as well. That's the kind of player we want to be bringing in. We have a new goalkeeper, Jonathan Bond, 3.5-star current ability, 29 years old, but he's a goalkeeper, so I'm less worried about that. Former Peterborough player as well, so he always has that going in his favour. Plus, he played a full season last season in this league on loan at Blackpool, who finished quite high, 5th. So, you know, he's got experience in this league of keeping a lot of clean sheets and being a very good goalkeeper at this level. And then lastly, Luke Dreyer is a 23-year-old midfielder, another one who can play defensive midfield or central midfield, another one who's very, very good. We have some very good central midfield players at this club now. Another lad who's going to go on and become a championship player, been at Palace in the Premier League, played a couple of Premier League games last season. What it does mean is that we're spent up now, which is a bit of a problem, because there's still a couple of gaps in the squad. We could still probably use another striker. We could still probably use another right back. If we could fill those 2 gaps, I think we have a very, very good side, but they're going to have to be with loans because we have no money left. And there's not really anyone else on the way out of the club who's going to free up some wages or that we can sell, really. Perhaps we need to let one of Agogo and Clark go. Do we really need both of them when we've got Brown and Dreyer who can both play there as well? Is it time to let Abu Agogo go? He's 32 years old. Let's offer him out. Stick him on the transfer list. He's done. Just to try and free up a little bit of cash that we can then use really on a right back. Striker wise, we'll just have to go with Davis, Humphries and Smith able to go up there and hope we can find a decent loan. But we do need a second right back. We don't want to have to play Alfie Kilgore out at right back again, because as we learnt last season, That doesn't really work. The media have lost their minds. I know we've signed a couple of good players, but a prediction of 7th? You what? Have we got anyone in the Dream 11? Are any of these new signings much better than I anticipated? No to both. Why are we predicted a 7th place finish? Bizarre. Well, thanks to the earliest start to the season in the history of the universe, we're ending the transfer special there. I guess it's because the World Cup is happening in the winter. Winter World Cup, is it? Is that where the... I mean, it's 2022. We haven't had the World Cup in the summer, I don't think. I should probably check. World Cup. Did it happen? No. So the World Cup is in November. So I guess the season's starting early, even though it appears like, I mean, we've maybe got... I don't think there's any gap at all. I think that's the FA Cup second round that weekend's left blank for. So we're starting early, despite the fact we're not breaking for the World Cup, presumably to keep us in line. I guess that's why the EFL Cup's starting early. I'm sure there's reasons. Either way, transfer window doesn't end, but the season's starting. So I'll keep you up to date with any more transfers we do in the next couple of episodes. We still need a right back. We still need a striker. But this is what the team is looking like at the moment. We have got an offer in for a Go-Go, so hopefully he's going out on loan to Torquay. They've offered to pay all of his wages, and if all of his wages go, that brings us down pretty much in line with wage budget, meaning I can sneak back over again to get a right back because the board think within 3 or 4 grand is all right. So, yeah, I guess I'm happy with the transfer window. We've definitely improved the squad. The media definitely think we've improved the squad. It's certainly not the finished article by any stretch, because it would be nice to have a real top quality striker. That being said, Humphries or Davis might show that they're exactly those players with some more creative options behind them in the shape of some of the new signings we've got here, and certainly in central midfield. And we were solid at the back last year, and we've improved that with a good defender and a better goalkeeper. So a right back to compete with Blas, and we're a good side, a 4-star striker, and that playoff push might become realistic. But I think that would be hoping, bearing in mind we've got no money to go and get one with. We'll see. Let me know down in the comments what you think of that as a sort of 3/4 of a transfer window. We've still got a month left, I think. I think it ends at the end of August, so we've got ages left. There'll be more business yet, but let me know what you think of it so far and what you'd do next. If you have enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos, and of course the start of the new season tomorrow with the Charlton and Portsmouth games. And thank you very much for watching.